Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to kids who killed their own families reacting to life sentences. I mean, it blows my mind that there's kids out there who are capable of such evil. I don't know whether they are born like that, or maybe it's the circumstances of which they were raised. Maybe they were raised in awful conditions with no love shown to them. Maybe that's what made them into that. It's just sad, honestly. And just to see how they're going to take the fact that, their life as they know is over. Their liberty is gone. Their freedom is gone. They now belong to the state. It's just going to be crazy to see how they react to this.
Family issues are common, but usually not ones that reach the point of murder. But killers like Sierra Halseth and Aaron Guerrero don't make that distinction. In Las Vegas, Nevada, the name Sin City has never been more accurate. Halseth and Guerrero, both teenagers, were in a relationship disapproved of by Halseth's father. Instead of trying to come to an agreement or even rebelling against her father, Sierra Halseth, with the help of her boyfriend, brutally murdered her own father, and his body was found on April the 9th, 2021. The body was found in a sleeping bag with 70 stab wounds, but that's not even the worst part. Apparently, they tried to dismember the body with saws and set it on fire before they left it in the garage. What could drive two kids to commit such a horrific act?
Wow.
In court, Sierra dropped a bombshell. Despite her completely lifeless expression, she read a letter painting Daniel as an abuser, an addict, and pedophile, with his harassment supposedly leading to his demise. Whether or not Sierra was on the wrong end of this abuse, she clearly suffered some disturbing change, as she recorded a video days after the murder with her accomplice boyfriend, laughing and gloating about the murder in a deeply unsettling way.
Day three after murdering somebody.
Wow! Don't put that on the camera.
It was worth it.
Regardless of their motives, justice was served for their crime, as they received life in prison with the possibility of parole after 22 years.
On count one, you're going to be sentenced to 48 to 120 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. On count two, you're going to be sentenced to life in the Nevada Department of Corrections with the possibility of parole after 20 years has been served, plus a consecutive 24 to 60 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections for the deadly weapon enhancement.
And while Halseth may have had some twisted motive, Nehemiah Griego's murder...
Goodness me, her dad. The thing is, we don't know if he actually was an abuser, the dad. We don't know, but still, to do that to your dad, oh my God. Oh God, if he abused her, then I guess... I don't even know what to think, honestly. I don't know what to think. What do you guys think?
Brit was on another level. In New Mexico, 10 years ago, 15-year-old Nehemiah Grigo went on an utter rampage in his own home with an AR-15 and a .22 caliber rifle, as he suddenly shot and killed his 40-year-old mother, his 9-year-old brother, his two sisters aged 5 and 2, and patiently waited among the dead bodies for his father to arrive so that he could murder him as well. Grigo left a horrific bloodbath at home as he drove to church, and the pastor informed the authorities. Shockingly, no motive whatsoever was found, other than Grigo being suicidal and frustrated with his mother, but that would in no way explain how he murdered his entire family, even children. After pleading guilty, he was tried twice, once as a juvenile and once as an adult. During his adult hearing, though, Grigo turned heads when he suddenly felt remorse facing those in his family who survived his rampage, apologizing to them and expressing his guilt.
I am sorry for taking our parents and our sins. I wish I could take him back.
I don't believe him. I'm sorry. How is he eligible for parole after 30 years? There should be no parole. There should be zero parole. No.
The reality is that we can't.
But it wasn't enough for his sister, who broke down crying. Grigo couldn't even get the sympathy of the district attorney, who seems to be haunted by this case.
As a homicide detective, I'd seen many death scenes, but this is the one I get to relive every day.
He ultimately received a life sentence, plus 7 years to run concurrently, with the possibility of parole at the age of 52. Speaking...
No, I don't... What do you guys think? I'm sorry. Like, I don't think he deserves parole at all.
Unspeakable murderers of children, Dylan Schumacher also gets zero sympathy. Dylan Schumacher tried to make rounds in court when he broke down crying, but his acting skills were as bad as his consciousness. In Springville, Utah, 16-year-old Schumacher was babysitting his girlfriend's 2 children when he couldn't do the basic human task of calming down a crying 2-year-old, so he disgustingly decided to cover his head with a pillow and strike him to make him silent. But unsurprisingly, the damage the child received took his life. While Schumacher was clearly abusive, the prosecution and defense were at odds with a second-degree manslaughter or second-degree murder charge.
Austin Smith was completely defenseless. That's a given. But there were other dynamics at work there, including my client's inability to either control his anger or frustration.
I don't give a damn. I'm sorry. I don't give a damn about that.
And his inexperience in babysitting.
What is to say he won't do this again?
Well, we don't know that. I think it's completely unlikely.
But fairness is not lost in the world, and Schumacher was...
I mean, I know this guy has to defend him. I know. I know that's his job. But to say because he had no experience babysitting is justification for strangling a toddler.
With the intention to kill and first-degree assault until he tried to put on a sympathy act in court.
I didn't mean to kill Austin.
Shut up.
I really didn't. I really think I did this. I didn't mean to hurt him.
Dylan broke down to his girlfriend, claiming that he loved her son, but he was quickly exposed when a video came out of him saying,
I am a 16-year-old blonde. Probably all I have to do is cry in front of the jury, and they're going to feel sorry for me.
The act couldn't fool the judge or jury, and Schumacher received 18 years to life with a possibility of parole in 2031. These apologies in court barely stir up
Not enough time for me. Nowhere near enough time.
any sympathy for the murderers, just like Tyler Hadley. In Port St. Lucie, Florida, 17-year-old Tyler Hadley thought out an entire murder plot straight out of a movie. He first invited a bunch of people over for a party, but they didn't know that this would be a party from hell when Hadley took 3 ecstasy pills and murdered his own mother and father, Mary Jo and Blake Hadley, with a claw hammer. During the party, the dead bodies could be smelled, and it was an extremely disturbing and tense time for Michael Mandel, to whom Tyler confessed the crime, until Mandel could leave the party and report the horrible crime. As far as motive went, this went far back to Tyler having major problems with drugs, as well as prior convictions for arson, vandalism, theft, battery, and injuring a child with his father's car, which apparently he used to steal without permission. But the last straw was his parents attempting to get him help for his drug problem. So he reacted by taking their lives and cementing his irredeemable nature. During his trial, the state really wanted to give the death penalty, but couldn't for his age, so he was granted a life sentence that was reconsidered in 2016, but reapplied again in 2018.
I can apologize or make amends for the horrible acts I've done, I committed.
This came after Hadley's brother spoke out in court.
Well, I guess what I want is for him to get the maximum penalty possible, which I understand is life in prison without parole.
Other family members who faced Tyler in court included his mother's niece.
We pray that sometime in the future he will have the opportunity to rehabilitate and have a life on the outside.
Tyler had the nerve to speak out in court and apologize for his actions. His apology was undermined by his brother, literally asking for him to get the highest sentence possible. Disconnect from reality can also lead to disastrous horror, such as what happened with Daniel.
I think some people, do you agree with this? Some people are just born with either something missing or something extra that's evil. Because to be able to do something like this, if someone really, really hurts you and you hurt them back to the point where, they die. I guess I can. It's revenge, but these ones are. It's just unprompted for no reason. Some of them. It's just. I don't think I or you could ever do that.
Patrick, A 16-year-old Daniel couldn't tell fact from video games when he became obsessed with video games after a skiing accident that left him with spinal injuries and too much time to spend playing games. After a disagreement with his parents over wanting to get the video game Halo, Patrick horrifically imitated the game to a disastrous degree when he stole his father's handgun from a safe and shot both his mum and his dad. While his dad survived, his mum passed away from her injuries. After fleeing the crime scene in a van, Daniel was caught by the police. Things changed dramatically in court for both Daniel and his father,
because they wouldn't get you a video game,
who showed genuine emotion and regret in court. Daniel could be seen crying, and his dad seemed to have forgiven him, even defending his son.
I can't count the number of times he has told me that he is so sorry for what he did and he'll never be able to forgive himself. I can also count the number of times he has told me that he is so happy that I survived and so glad to still be able to see me.
With the defense and psychiatrists arguing that Daniel couldn't distinguish reality from video game fiction, Daniel could not receive the death penalty.
This is not the case of a drug fiend stash being taken away. Daniel chose, in the words of his father, he referred to him in his interview as a pathological liar. Daniel has serious problems telling the truth.
Regardless of addiction or disconnect, Daniel received life in prison with a possibility of parole after 23 years. This goes to show that forgiveness cannot stand against justice. While some argue that video games lead to violence, childhood trauma is definitely way worse.
This is an interesting one, because a video game, you could say, directly led to that crime being committed. I kind of guess it supports the, age limit for video games, because young kids playing things like Call of Duty and stuff like that's probably really bad for them, isn't it? Not that I've got any problem with video games, but my little brother, he loves video games. But I guess seeing all that violence, on TV, maybe it does something to young minds.
Leading to cases like Seth Paki. After being neglected by his parents, who apparently had nothing nice to say about him, Seth Paki went on a rabbit hole of drugs and stealing that culminated in a brutal killing spree when he was only 18 years old in Muskegon, Michigan in November the 29th, 1998. Paki would shoot both his parents, his brother, his grandfather, and his brother's girlfriend. While the authorities could not point toward a specific motive, it was clear that a lack of love led him down this path, all the way to the courtroom, where he gave an apology that's impossible to deem genuine or not.
I'm sorry for what I did, but that's hardly enough.
Seth received life in prison without parole in 1999. But then the story got 10 times crazier a decade later, when in prison, 3 men, including Paki, took control of a tractor-trailer and drove right through the prison fence. After the guards fired, 1 bullet struck Paki straight in the head, killing him.
You think of irony, karma, what you sow, so shall you reap.
Whether it was karma or a sad tale of an unloved boy, that's up to you. More often than not, it's mental illness that leads to horrific crimes like these, such as with Jake Evans. In a Parker County, Texas mansion, 17-year-old Jake Evans one day snapped, grabbed a .22 caliber pistol, and shot his mother and young sister on a complete whim. He immediately called 911, and the call was both horrifying and saddening, as Evans is clearly suffering from severe issues.
911, where's your emergency?
My house.
Okay, what's the emergency?
I just killed my mom and my sister.
You just killed your mother and your sister? How did you do that?
I shot him with a .22 revolver.
Are you sure they're dead?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to stay on the phone with me, okay? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Where is the gun?
Just listen to how calm he is. This is disturbing. This is so disturbing.
It's on the kitchen counter.
According to the call, he'd been planning to kill for quite some time, and apparently was planning on killing his other sisters and grandparents, taking inspiration from Rob Zombie's Halloween movie, and a general disconnect with human nature.
Is there any reason that you were so angry at your mother and your sister?
I don't know. I wasn't, it's weird. I wasn't even really angry with them. It just kind of happened. I've been kind of planning on killing for a while now,
The two of them, or just anybody?
Pretty much anybody.
Why?
I don't know. I don't really like people.
You don't like people's attitude? This is your family.
Kind of attitude.
Right.
I think they're very, like, you know, emotional, I don't know, verbally rude to each other and stuff like that.
Right.
In court, it was an odd sight, as Evans looked no older than the adolescent he was supposed to be, pleading guilty for his crime, although controversy was stirred regarding how much prison time he should and should not be getting. He was ultimately charged with capital murder and given 45 years with a chance of parole at half his sentence. This one doesn't feel very satisfying, as this young man clearly needed psychiatric help rather than an orange jumpsuit. Speaking of somewhat unfair...
I don't know, he needs both. He needs both. Yeah, he needs psychiatric help, but he also needs to be punished for what he did, in my opinion.
For those who are ill, there was a lot of sympathy for Jacob Morgan, whose status as a killer is in definite question. In South Carolina, 17-year-old Jacob Morgan was in charge of taking care of his 14-month-old baby brother, Joshua, when a fire broke out accidentally that was seemingly started by Morgan, who changed his statements from throwing a pillow near a heater to lighting the pillow on fire. Regardless of how it happened, Morgan was unable to do anything as baby Joshua tragically passed away in the flames. In court, Morgan was in shock and tears at what had transpired, and the hidden truth was that he was on the autism spectrum with a fascination with fire, which caused him to start this fire and another one 2 weeks prior.
Burn pattern that goes underneath that child towards the door of the bedroom. That is caused by likely something. It's a significant burn pattern as he described it. It could have been alcohol, it could have been something else that gets consumed by the fire. But a significant burn pattern shows that there is something said significant and intentional.
Because of these conditions, Morgan was not charged with murder, but involuntary manslaughter, with a 10-year sentence to run consecutively with a 15-year sentence and 5 years of probation for arson.
So what does that mean? 10-year sentence concurrent with a 15. So he's going to serve 15 years then?
Met with a burden, so therefore I am going to find that there is probable cause to charge the individual with the found over for General Sessions Court for more charges.
Jeez, man.
On hearing his sentencing, Morgan's expression was still saddening.
Wow, that was intense. Oh my God. Just some absolutely horrendous cases. It just confirms to me that some people are really just born killers. They're born psychopaths. Like the kid, the adolescent who said that, you know, he killed his mum and his sister because he just didn't like how they spoke to each other. Like, wow. Like he said he'd been planning on killing for a while. So in my opinion, the whole not nice to each other thing was just BS. It was an excuse. Like he just wanted to do it and he did it. You know, like it's just crazy what people can do to their families, to other human beings. The last guy who was on the autism spectrum, I guess I do have some sympathy for him, but still, like I'm sure he must have been told many times, fire is dangerous. It's not to be played with, and you know, a life was lost as a direct result of his actions. So he does deserve the sentencing. Still, just absolutely sad situations. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.